Welcome to Boxing During Dinner special edition tonight. I'm Armando Alvarez, and he is...
Barry. The names, as usual, are going to show up right about here.
Somewhere here. Last time I think we were pointing like at the wrong spot.
Yeah, I was pointing a little bit too low.
But you know what? It's fine. I mean,
Boxing During Dinner,
if we actually had letters floating in front of us, that'd be pretty weird.
Yeah, actually floating?
Yes.
That would be a trippy experiment.
That'd be weird.
I was like massaging the words right there.
Obviously, we're going to talk about Pacquiao Mosley coming up this Saturday. But first, obviously, we got to give a shout out and a big thank you to the men and women in uniform of the United States Armed Forces for killing Osama bin Laden and putting their lives on the line day in and day out. I'm not man enough to do that, man. I'm dead serious, so I give my props to them.
I was man enough to turn on the TV, and that was the extent of it. But there was a quote I read today that this will continue to be the land of the free so long as this is also the land of the brave. And I thought that was a pretty good quote that kind of captured what had happened. So cheers to our troops and cheers to the people who protect our freedom. And
I'm sure this weekend they'll get a nice tribute during the Pacquiao Mosley fight. But yeah, Pacquiao Mosley, I'm actually going to Pacquiao Mosley.
I'm a little jealous
too. He isn't, so Boxing During Dinner will be there.
Make sure that we talk about our food sponsor before we get too deep.
We do need to talk about
the delicious cafeteria food of Miami Children's Hospital. Some stale French fries and chicken fingers, which is a specialty on the Tuesday nights.
But they weren't stale at some point.
No, at one point they were fresh. It just wasn't in the second half of today.
So the big fight this weekend, which again I'll mention, I will be there.
Reporting live also, so stay tuned to Boxing During Dinner if you want to hear all of the updates live from Las Vegas. Armando's going to be providing those, and I'll be following on Twitter, interacting with anybody who's got questions about what's going on as the fight nears.
And if you want me to look for someone there,
might be able to get
right on Twitter, and I'll try to hunt them down.
Ask them your questions too with the fighters that you want. Before we get started, I'm going to make a metaphor, if you will, that Shane Mosley is about to get the Osama bin Laden treatment this weekend.
I don't think it'll be that bad. I don't think he'll have any wounds on his head, but it's an interesting fight. If I had to, I'm going to put out my prediction first and then talk about the different scenarios that could happen. I think Pacquiao wins by decision.
Yep.
But it is not beyond the realm of possibility that Shane Mosley could win this fight, and I'll tell you why.
And it won't be by decision, though.
It won't be by decision. Manny Pacquiao, unlike Floyd Mayweather, gets hit a lot.
Yep.
And I've told people, if you would have substituted Shane Mosley and put Manny Pacquiao when he fought Floyd Mayweather last May 1st, the fight would have been no different. Floyd Mayweather could box. He's a great defensive fighter. Manny Pacquiao isn't. Right. Manny Pacquiao gets hit. He was in a war against Marquez. He was in a war against Morales. He was in sort of a war against Cotto. I mean, Cotto got to him, and against Margarito. For as much as he beat Margarito's ass, Margarito had him on the ropes and hit him with some hard shots. Margarito's a big dude. That had to have at least some effect on him.
And people don't really question the sturdiness of Pacquiao's chin. That's something that he's been able to carry with him even through the weight classes. But that doesn't discount the fact that he's gotten hurt. And you saw the effects that some of Cotto's punches took on him during the first few 4 rounds, that it seemed as if Cotto was going to be in that fight during that stretch. And you saw kind of a blueprint on how to possibly bully Pacquiao a little bit. And I think Mosley has the size to do that. And then again, as you mentioned with Margarito, he enjoys trading too much to be a cautious fighter, and that's what makes this an interesting fight. Is Mosley's going to be right in front of him the whole time, throwing punches. But again, Pacquiao's not a defensive fighter in the same wind that Floyd Mayweather is. But underrated is his ability to move his feet and get away from some of those incoming punches. Again, it's not. I don't believe that it's his lack of defensive capability as much as it is his desire to throw punches and engage in exciting exchanges that makes Pacquiao not a defensive fighter. But because of his willingness to trade, you've got some explosive fireworks that are possible at any time.
And he gets so much accolades that's why I'm trying to be as much devil's advocate as I can be. But, making sense. I'm not going to say the guy sucks, because he doesn't. Obviously, He's one of the best fighters in the world right now. Probably the best fighter in the world right now, because Mayweather's away. But Manny Pacquiao, let's see, his last few fights, Ricky Hatton had just gotten his ass beat by Mayweather. Cotto had just gotten his ass beat by Margarito. Margarito had just gotten his ass beat by Shane Mosley. So he tends to fight guys after they get destroyed by somebody.
And then fights the guy who beat the guy that he just fought.
Right, exactly. and I'm not taking any credit away from Manny Pacquiao, because to beat these guys, you still got to be pretty good. I mean, it's not easy beating Cotto. I mean, as Mayorga found out, or beating Margarito. But the fact that he takes on these guys after they gotten beat, and let's face it, Shane Mosley's 40 years old. I love Shane Mosley. I'm not afraid to say that. You know what? I grew, well, I didn't grow up watching Mosley. At some point when I was like in high school, I started watching Mosley as he came up. And I'm a big Shane Mosley fan. I would love to see him pull out the upset for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a big fan.
Yep.
Two, I would love to be in Las Vegas for that that monumental upset.
Be a lucky bastard.
And it's not that I don't like Manny Pacquiao, because I do, and I like Freddie Roach a lot. But I would like to see an upset. But Shane Mosley at 40 years old, I don't know what he has left.
It's, you know, you always want to in the pre-fight build-up to give that person a puncher's chance. And if there's anything that Shane Mosley has, it is a puncher's chance. He has, even as a 40-year-old fighter, or just on the cusp of 40, but he has a hand speed that Margarito doesn't have. Even you would probably argue that he has better hand speed than Miguel Cotto, who are two of Pacquiao's most recent opponents. But Mosley looked stiff against Mayweather. He looked stiff against Brian Vera. Sergio Mora, who got beat by Brian Vera. It's any night, though, Mosley can show up and have one final night. You saw that with Eric Morales, who did not look like somebody who even belonged in the same ring as Marcos Maidana just a few weeks ago, and had his night. Lost the fight, but put it in doubt many times throughout the fight.
And as the years go by, I mean, we can really discount the 40-year-olds, because Shane Mosley's a dedicated fighter, just like Bernard Hopkins is. I doubt very, very much, and I'd be willing to put money on it, that Shane Mosley does not walk around at any time in his life at 200 pounds.
No,
like other fighters do. He's not like a Fernando Vargas. This guy walks around probably around the same weight he fights at. And Bernard Hopkins does the same thing. So these are guys that are in shape 24/7, 365 days a year. So when it comes time to fight, they're not the typical 40-year-old. They could put a performance. Like, I thought Kelly Pavlik, who fights this Saturday, was going to beat Hopkins just because I thought Hopkins would finally get old. I thought Jean Pascal would beat Hopkins just because he would finally get old, and they don't. I mean, the guy's amazing, and Shane Mosley may have one of those nights on Saturday. I know the guy's focused. I mean, why not be focused against Manny Pacquiao? Everybody's counting him out. He's a more than 4-1 underdog, which is pretty big in Las Vegas. So I think he may have a pretty decent night.
It will be something that everybody's watching. It's an exciting card. There's 3 world title fights on that card. It's going to see Arce versus Wilfredo Vasquez.
And that's going to be
Jr.
a good one.
And yeah, Wilfredo Vasquez is to me the real deal. And this is one of his stiffest competitions up to date. What do you think?
Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. came up on Boxeo Telemundo. Since his first fight, the guy never fought as an amateur. But the guy has learned so much in these past couple of years. The guy has quick hand speed, and he has something that only the great fighters have. And I mean, he's good. I'm not saying that he's one of the greatest fighters right now, but he has something that the great fighters do have, which is he gets stronger as the fight goes along. Yeah. You barely see that in boxing. No. This guy in his last few fights started off a little slow, but he went building up this energy, this power, stopped the guy in the 10th round. So Wilfredo Vasquez Jr., I look for him to beat Arce this weekend, maybe by a late round stoppage. But he's a guy that's making some noise, and I'm so happy that finally the world's gonna get to see him.
Yep, on a major, which is to be the largest event in boxing this year, barring a Floyd Mayweather return, which you just never know. Roger Mayweather today was quoted as saying that he believes Floyd will fight this summer in Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Again, it's all hearsay until there's something else that's
I say he fights Des Bryant.
That'd be interesting. I think I've got my money on Des Bryant only because he's got some football skill in him, and he could probably tackle Mayweather and maybe get him for his first knockdown. But that'll be a different discussion. There was a little humor in that, but I guess you didn't see it.
I laugh afterward.
Yeah.
But yeah, Des Bryant and Mayweather for the summer, that would be a mega event.
They could call it SummerSlam.
But actually, who do you think are the possible opponents for Floyd Mayweather?
It's hard to say. If Mayweather actually wants a challenge, which some have questioned, because if he really did want a challenge, he would have fought Manny Pacquiao the second time negotiations came around. Roger Mayweather seems to think that Miguel Cotto is a possible opponent for him. But again, that makes sense from one perspective, but then the issue is Golden Boy versus Top Rank. And Floyd Mayweather, for as much as he says he's independently promoted, is a Golden Boy fighter. and Miguel Cotto is a top-ranked fighter. So you have to understand and believe that it would come from underneath the Golden Boy umbrella. Somebody who is naive enough to take that fight and on a high right now is Victor Ortiz, who fights under the Golden Boy umbrella. And Mayweather was ringside to watch the fight between him and Berto. So you can't rule out that that's a possibility. Of course, Mayweather is still a favorite, but he would be fighting somebody who's perceived as a live threat, who's young and up and coming, so it'd be interesting to watch that fight as well. Mayweather's always had trouble with southpaws, at least early on, and kind of figures them out as it goes. But we'll just be happy to see him fighting because of the simple possibility that it means we still have hope for the fight of all fights, which is Mayweather-Pacquiao.
It'd be great if Floyd Mayweather could come back, not only for the fact that he could fight Manny Pacquiao, which everybody wants to see, but the fact that he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard is in there, Pernell Whitaker, Roy Jones, and then there's Floyd Mayweather. That hybrid fighter, a guy that could punch, that could move around, that fights defensively, and that could hit as well.
I'll acknowledge it. I'm sorry about that my phone went off during Boxing During Dinner. That was disrespectful of me to our viewers. Continue.
It was Boxing During Dinner. Anything could happen. You might have people walk through the door of Alex's bedroom.
It's happened before.
It's like, whoa, what the hell, Alex? Who the hell is that?
Got some Smurfs and midgets living in there.
But Floyd Mayweather, if he comes back, I don't know who I'd like to see him against, just because I think he could beat anybody. But I really do believe if Pacquiao beats Mosley and then he goes off and fights Marquez, then it's just like open sweepstakes. And I don't know if it'll be somebody that's naive as much as somebody that want to just pay off their house or buy a new Bentley. I mean, Gamboa might move up from 130 because he has to pay a Bentley. I don't know how the guy pays it.
One of the fights I actually do believe is a legit possibility should Mayweather choose to come back is Robert Guerrero, who has said that he would come up to 135, and regardless if Mayweather's available or not, he has the frame and the skill set that he could compete at 147, I believe, legitimately. And it's a similar jump that Shane Mosley made when he went from lightweight, skipped over junior welterweight, and went right to.
How about if Mayweather sees the challenge? Because I don't know how much of a challenge it would be, but to move up to 154 to win a title there. Because the champion's at 154, I mean, except Sergio Martinez, if you want to call him a 154-pounder right now, you can fight Cornelius Bundridge. And Kenan Bundridge, I mean, he's not a pay-per-view caliber fighter, but he does have a belt. So Floyd Mayweather could say, I won a title at 154. So that could be a possibility.
It's possible. But the legitimacy at 154 is Miguel Cotto, especially because there's a lot of people who believe that he avoided fighting Cotto when he was undefeated, and they were both in the welterweight division as bona fide stars at the same time. Now, of course, Cotto's not the fighter that he was, but Mayweather's been out of the ring for a year, and he's 34 years old now. Maybe Mayweather's not the same fighter he was. And that's, to me, is one of the biggest storylines with his return is a 34-year-old Floyd Mayweather, the same fighter that came out against Shane Mosley. But I believe that you saw an evolution in Floyd Mayweather in his last fight. You saw that he did not have he wasn't as avoiding trading with Mosley as much. He stayed in front of him. He still has his defensive slickness, but there is a certain slowing in foot movement that I think you've seen. And this is a more offensive Floyd Mayweather that you've seen in possibly his past two fights against Marquez and Mosley.
And obviously he'd have to adapt, but quick before we wrap it up, prediction: Mosley Pacquiao this weekend.
It's the ultimate test that Freddie Roach says is to see if they can beat Floyd Mayweather in the way that they beat Shane Mosley, and that would only be by a knockout. My prediction is that's not going to happen. Shane Mosley is too strong in both his fist and his chin, and I think that we're looking at a lopsided unanimous decision for Pacquiao, but a few exciting exchanges in the meantime to at least keep it interesting.
I think Pacquiao by decision, but like I said, anything could happen. So this is it for this edition of Boxing During Dinner, but check in on YouTube, put Boxing During Dinner, also on Twitter, @BoxDuringDinner.
Which will show up probably right about here.
Yeah, Alex will take care of that. But it should be an exciting week. It should be an exciting fight, and we'll be reporting from there, so that should be pretty cool.
Fight fans, tune in. We will be answering questions on Twitter. Looking forward to fight week. I'm not crying, I just got something stuck in my throat. Boxing During Dinner.
USA.